name is Kelly. I'm a registered nurse and I bought a van to live in while I took on my first ever travel nursing assignment in Washington to help with the COVID crisis. I made this little video and it shows my very simple and basic van conversion from scratch, and it also shows all the struggles I encountered along the way, and trust me, there were a lot of them. So stay tuned. Here she is, guys, 92 Ford Econoline. Did a thing. I bought a van. This van was previously a handicap van, so it came fully equipped with a wheelchair lift. The quote I got from a mechanic to take this thing out was $400, so I am leaving it in there until I can figure out an alternate way to get this thing out of there. So if anybody wants it, hit me up. You can have it. You just gotta take it out. Next thing, do you guys see that light that's on right there? My boyfriend and I could not figure out how to get these lights off for the life of us. We spent so long, and we honestly didn't figure it out until the battery drained, and we had to call AAA for actually another reason, but we won't even go there. Of course, the AAA guy comes and he gets the lights turned off immediately and shows us how to do it. But anyway, it was a very big issue for a minute there. Getting the solar panel set up.
Yo.
Yeah?
Would you hand me the panel?
And we got power. Good morning. So day 2 van life struggle is trying to find Wi-Fi because Starbucks are closed on the inside. So I think I'm managing to get some from the Tanner Public that's right here. Anyway, now that it's daylight, you guys want to see what I'm working with right now? Here's my van. I can't wait to get all this stuff out. I've got some exams to take for my new job and some school stuff to do, so this is the current situation. Van life day 3. I'm already very frustrated because the Wi-Fi at my hospital is not working, and I can't go sit inside of a Starbucks or McDonald's or anywhere. I need to do homework. Ugh. So overall, the first few days of having the van went pretty well. I did have to get the brakes worked on because it turns out they were leaking brake fluid. So that cost a little chunk of money, but not a big deal. It's an older vehicle, to be expected. I did have to buy new tires for it. And lastly, it did weirdly stall when I put it in reverse one time. So that was a little interesting. But other than that, just your usual van life struggles like trying to find Wi-Fi, especially in this time of the COVID crisis, and trying to find a place to shower. But other than that, you know, things were going pretty smooth. But then I started driving up to Washington, and that's when things went downhill fast. It is Thursday, 11 p.m., and I can officially say goodbye to Salem, and I am not gonna miss you. Washington, Issaquah, here I come.
12 seconds later.
Getting towed to Issaquah wasn't exactly how I expected to get there, but I'm getting there. Well, I'm getting towed to Olympia. Then I gotta figure it out in the morning. Okay, so let's backtrack for a second. I was driving along 60 miles an hour, not a care in the world, and then all of a sudden, I smelled this weird smell. And now this is the same time that I had turned my heater on for the first time ever, so I was like, okay, maybe it just needs to air out a little bit. But as I'm driving along, it gets progressively worse, more pungent, and disgusting. So then I noticed some smoke coming from the hood. I'm like, oh shoot. So I immediately pull over to the side of the freeway because I noticed that there's not an exit in sight. So I pull off to the side and I think for a sec and I sit there. I'm like, is it just overheating? And I obviously turn the van off, and then I try and start it again and see if maybe I can just get to the next exit and pull off to safety, because I don't want to be stuck on the side of the freeway. And this was about, I want to say midnight or 1 a.m. So I got a late start on my drive, but yeah. So I start it back up, it starts just fine, and then I try and put it in drive, and it doesn't go anywhere. Try and put it in reverse, it doesn't go anywhere. What the heck? Quick Google search told me transmission issue. Immediately, I felt very defeated already. It's like the worst possible scenario. 1 a.m, and my transmission might be shot. I'm by myself, like already an hour and a half from home, about 2 hours from my destination. And I have to work the following evening at 7 p.m. So I called AAA. Thank God for AAA. And they told me they're gonna send someone out as soon as possible, but it could be around 2 hours. Okay, fine. I'm already on my night shift schedule because I've been working nights for a long time, so I don't mind staying up late. That's why I drove so late. And however, they did tell me that because of COVID, they're not allowing passengers, to ride in the passenger seat with the AAA driver, and that I would likely have to call the police or something to get a safe ride off the side of the freeway. Because what are my other options at that point? It was not a good situation. I couldn't find any cheap hotels around. I just didn't know what to do. So an hour goes by, 2 hours go by. I'm communicating with the AAA driver a little bit. He can't find me. Another hour goes by. Finally at 4:30 in the morning, he's able to find me and he shows up. And I'm like, hey, how far north can you tow me? And luckily he was able to tow me about an hour. So that left me with only an hour of a drive left to get to Issaquah, which was my destination, and hopefully make it to work that night. Hopefully, if I have to rent a car, take a taxi, whatever. At least I'm closer after this ride. And thank God he let me sit in my driver's seat in my van as I was being towed, because he understood my situation. He didn't care. He was super cool. Whew, what a relief. So he dropped me off in Olympia at a mechanic, and I wake up at 8 a.m. after just 2 hours of sleep and go inside, and I have some mechanics come out and look at my vehicle, and right away they noticed there was no transmission fluid left, completely bone dry. They fill it up with 8 quarts and they test drive it, and they notice it's running okay. So, I mean, it took a couple hours to do all this, to kind of inspect it and figure it out what's going on and test drive it and all that. So I'm there about 10 a.m., 11 a.m. and feeling like just so tired that I'm nauseous and I just can barely function. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to make it to work tonight? It's already 11 a.m. I haven't slept at all. It's my first shift. I want to be able to do a good job, you know? So they're like, hey, given your situation, we recommend you just try and drive it to your destination. You know, right now, after filling it up with 8 quarts, it's running okay. We're not seeing any issues. I mean, there probably is something going on that you need to have fixed, or this van might just be a junker at this point, but if you can at least get to your destination, that's all you need, right? And that was all I needed. I was okay with having a broken down van as long as it was at the hospital, you know, so that I can actually make it to work and do my job. So I took their advice and I tried to drive it to Issaquah, an hour away, and it was a success. I drove, I made it. No smoke, no overheating, shifting okay. While I was driving, it was shifting okay. And so that was such a relief. I finally got to sleep around 12:30, and I was so tired, but I made it to my shift, and that was a success. So over the next few days, I was actually able to keep driving it. However, I did notice it acting a little funky. It would stall when I put it in drive reverse, but then start back up and actually switch gears okay and I'd be able to drive, but it would continue to stall every now and then or just lag. I would switch it into drive reverse and it would take multiple seconds before it actually started moving. So I obviously knew the problem was not fixed. There was something else still going on, and I decided to take it to another mechanic just to get another opinion and actually diagnose it. So I took it to a transmission specialist. Okay, well, my van is in the shop again. This is my last time. I swear, if they don't figure out the problem now, I'm giving up on this thing. So I'm just being a bum outside a Safeway using their Wi-Fi because my van is in the shop, so I'm currently homeless. Hello, guys. Max says hi too. All right, so let's fast forward 3 weeks. Every time I pour more transmission fluid in, it dumps the fluid out immediately, and this van doesn't move, it's toast. So I have been stuck in the hospital parking lot for the past 3 weeks in my van. And I've decided I'm gonna take it to one more mechanic. I did end up taking it to a mechanic transmission specialty shop last week just to see what they have to say, to have them diagnose the actual location of the leak. And that was back when it was still running, not very well. Like, it was still stalling between shifts and lagging, but it would move. So I drove it down to that mechanic, and they told me it was a front seal transmission leak, which basically requires you to rebuild the transmission or buy a new one, in which case he quoted me $4,500. And this van is not even worth that much, so I was like, no, not gonna put that kind of money into this thing. I guess I'm just gonna, drive it back to the hospital, and that's where I'll stay until I figure something else out. So yes, here we are. Can't move this thing at all anymore. However, I have decided I'm going to take it to one more mechanic next week. Just get one last final opinion. Maybe they will tell me they are able to repair the front seal without needing to rebuild the transmission. So that's what I'm hoping for. Because I would be willing to put, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 into this van to at least quadruple the resale value of this thing. Because right now, it's virtually worth nothing without a working transmission, not even able to run. Luckily, I have school to keep me occupied. I am located in a beautiful area right now, surrounded by mountains with hiking trails right outside my doorstep of my van. And I've got a Safeway just a half a mile up the road and a Starbucks, and I can use all the hospital amenities. The Wi-Fi reaches out to my van, and obviously I shower, microwave food, get hot water, whatnot in the hospital. So it's okay. I'm getting through it. I'm trying to stay positive because there's not much else I can do right now. I kind of feel like I'm losing my mind a little bit, but I'm trying hard not to. I just really need a change of scenery, but it's okay. I'm just kind of trying to buckle down and get through it and take this time to focus on school and savings and staying active. And that's where we're at. So the van might not have ran, but I did try and make the inside as cute and homey and comfortable as possible. And I do think I accomplished that. So here's a little van tour of the inside. I would say the key to sprucing up any living space is just put a bunch of plants in it. Can't go wrong. The curtain job is a little ghetto, but when you're a night shift nurse, you gotta do what you gotta do to block out that sunlight. Other night shifters know what I mean. And beneath the bed, you'll see 2 baskets. One of them is where I keep the food, and the other is where I keep the kitchen supplies. I did take out the passenger seat of the van to make room for this nice lounge chair, which Maximus clearly loves, and I love. It's really nice to have. Here is a photo of the wiring and electricity. Now, mind you, it's not the most aesthetic, but that was not my priority when throwing this van together very last minute. My boyfriend actually did most of the work here, and he taught me a lot, but you'll see the light switches that power the lights and that run up to the solar panel, and yeah. And here is a photo of the very back of the van where I keep my backpacking gear, my laundry, which is in that basket. I keep some extra clothes in that clear bin beneath, and then also some tools in a bin that's shoved to where you can't see, and various other essentials. So unfortunately, more bad news occurred and my travel nurse contract got canceled. I really felt like I just couldn't catch a break. So my last day was May 11th, and it was supposed to be July 7th. So I thought I had all this time to figure out what the heck I was gonna do next, and with this van and everything, find a new job and such, but no time at all. I got a couple days warning, really. So I thought it over and made the very difficult decision that I was not gonna do. I was not gonna get my van fixed, but I decided to get the transmission repaired. So it's currently in the shop. Today's date is May 22nd, and I've been in a hotel for the past week as I wait for my van to get fixed. Big shout out to Hilton Hotels for offering free stays for healthcare workers. This has been a lifesaver in this whole situation, and wow, it is amazing to have a real big king-size bed and a shower and a full kitchen again. Like, it's gonna be tough to go back to van life, but I'm gonna make it work. So I'm just waiting on getting my van fixed, and I did luckily find a new job. It is not a travel job, it's a permanent job, and it's back in California, and that's where I'm headed next as soon as my van is fixed. I honestly did not have the best experience on my first travel nursing experience between my van situation and getting canceled super early. Luckily, I will say the hospital itself, the job itself, and the coworkers and the management were all really great. So I had a good experience in that regard, but yes. So I hope you enjoyed this video and my failure of a van life experience. Note to self and lesson for you all, don't buy a cheap van in the spur of the moment. But I will say I only did it because I got this travel job very last minute. I was rushed for time. I didn't want to pay Seattle rent prices or pay to stay in a hotel for 3 months, which is so expensive. So that is why I bought this cheap van. But lesson learned, if you're buying a used vehicle, always have it inspected by a mechanic first, no matter what, because you don't want to end up like me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope to make further content on my channel, so if you did like this video, please like and please subscribe because it really helps me out. And I will see you guys soon.